Hey, this is BLA LA JAWS and I'm Patrik Soderstam. If you like what you see and what you hear, why don't you hit me with a like below and yeah, subscribe. And if you like, give me a comment. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do. As I said, I'm an artist and a designer, and for now or in right now, I'm often putting in three dots after a word like I am an artist and dot designer, and those dots are sort of a place for questioning or thinking, because it's not very easy to work in the fields of art and design. Sometimes I think about that. Sometimes I just don't and just create. I come from a background as a fashion designer, you might say, but actually I never been a real fashion designer. I've been more of a experimental clothing maker. So I love to make clothes, and my clothes sometimes are for sale, and sometimes they are just pieces in a fine art project or a fine art context. What can I say more? Um, my projects are much about this to merge more functional objects like clothing together with uh, objects that are considered more like objects for fine art, or objects that are included in the fine art context. I really like the more lightweightish pop culture. I like streetwear, but I also can see a lot of heavy stuff in that. It's something that we use every day, and how can we use that things that we use every day in a more potent way? How can we uh, make more, put more meaning into our everyday stuff like clothing? And yeah, I think a lot about that, and I create a lot around that. And then I also do sculptures and things that are more traditionally fine art based things, but they definitely have they have stains, or they have things that I do in my clothing with them into expressing stuff hanging on the wall, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I'm quite excited actually to start to do these talks. Um, but a bit nervous as well, because I don't feel warm in this situation yet. But I think I will. I actually, when was going to prepare myself to do this, I started to write down what I was going to say. But it, I don't think it didn't feel very good, because I think I work better shooting from the hip, if you know what I mean. And I think that's what I will do. I've been working as a teacher, as I said, for 12 years, and when I get warm in my clothes and my brain, I'm quite good at doing the blah 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 blah. So yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah, and my English. I don't want to come with excuses here, but I will. I've been living in London for 5 years. I did my bachelor and master degree at Centre St. Martin's. BA, or both the BA and the master I did menswear fashion. Anyway, so I lived there for 5 years, but I never did the whole going into talking good English. I do the Swinglish, so you will hear a lot of Swinglish. So just you just need to keep up with that. And yeah, as I said, yeah. Also, I'm not that. I think I'm not that theoretically. I'm not that academically, theoretically correct guy at all, but there is quite a lot of stuff going on in my brain, anyways. But I'm not I'm going to say the wrong words. I'm going to pronounce it wrong, and yeah, you just have to deal with it, you know, or don't. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I would like to just bring up is I don't get inspired by so much stuff directly. I look and look, but it mostly just comes in and then goes out. Not directly, just go through my systems and things comes out. But some things or some people inspire me more directly. And one thing is the New York TV program that was broadcasted in the late 70s and the early 80s called TV Party, and it was presented and done by a guy called Glenn O'Brien. And it's not often I look back and watch the programs. You can see them on YouTube, and probably I can show you some on the side here, but yeah, they're really inspiring, those TV programs. And hopefully when I get warm in my clothes, it will be more like that in this BLA LA JAWS as well, doing more punkish, trashy production of this. So hopefully something like that will happen. So big up for TV Party. And unfortunately Glenn O'Brien died a couple of years ago, and just before he actually, or maybe a year before something, he actually started following me on Instagram, and he was and still is definitely the when he started following me, I was really happy. And I actually met him once in New York with my girlfriend Emma. She was working with him in New York with they did some commercial together, and they had dinner in a restaurant, and I think it was my first time being in New York, and I was going to try to find this restaurant, and I did, and I was quite nervous just getting in there, going past the entrance and stuff, asking for Glenn O'Brien. And then I came to the table, and I don't remember so much more than sitting down and saying hi. Probably we ate something, I don't remember actually. But in my mind, when I think of Andy Warhol and when he met Jean-Michel Basquiat the first time, Jean-Michel went up to Andy and offered him some postcards that he has done some drawings on. I think that was it, and he actually sold them to people, and they bought some of him. And in some ways, when I look back on meeting Glenn O'Brien at that restaurant, I imagine it in the same way. When it's not like I compare myself to Jean-Michel Basquiat, but I actually did something similar, walking up to such an important guy. So that's a real dear memory, or a really nice memory for me. So yeah, very sad that Glenn is not with us anymore, but yeah, I would really like to continue doing that kind of trashy media that he did back in the TV party days. So yeah. Yeah, and the TV party was just much about just shooting from your hip. They just did whatever they wanted. You got the feeling of total anarchy, and it was like yeah, a very trashy way of doing TV compared to these days when everything is so streamlined and so perfect. So yeah, that hopefully will inspire me to not do this so perfectly. Just try to again shoot from the hip. I hope that this is an English expression as well. Just go with the flow and just do stuff, and not care so much about quality and doing the right thing. Yeah, thank you, and I hope you will come back to these talks again. See ya.